Let's talk about money. That stuff in your wallet, on your card, in your app. We use it every single day, but have you ever stopped to think about what it really is? It's way more than just paper and coins. It's one of the most powerful inventions in human history. So how do we go from trading goats for grain to just tapping our phones to buy coffee? Well, let's dive into the incredible story of money. So get this, the giant donut-shaped rocks you're looking at right now, that was money. On the island of Yap, these massive rye stones were their currency. And the craziest part, some were so huge, they couldn't even be moved. Their value wasn't about carrying them around. It was all based on their history, their size, and the fact that everyone just agreed they were valuable. It's a fantastic reminder that money is whatever we, as a group, decide it is. And that really is the big question, isn't it? The journey from those stones to our digital world is just fascinating. It's full of tricky problems, really clever solutions, and constant change. It's a story all about human ingenuity. All right, let's jump in a time machine. We're going back thousands of years to a world with no cash, no coins, nothing. If you wanted something, the only way to get it was to trade something you already had. We call this direct swap of goods and services the barter system. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, not quite. To really understand the problem, let's meet someone. This is Anand. He's a farmer, and he has a perfectly healthy spare ox he's willing to trade. His needs are pretty basic. He needs a new pair of shoes, a sweater to keep warm, and some medicine for his grandmother. Now, in a world that only has barter, how does he get all that stuff? This, my friends, is where the trouble starts. See, Anand is about to learn the hard way that the barter system is just riddled with problems. For anything more than a super simple exchange, it becomes incredibly inefficient and, honestly, just plain frustrating. First up, Anand hits the biggest wall of all, something economists call the double coincidence of wants. I mean, just think about it. He has to find a shoemaker who not only has shoes that fit him, but who also, at that exact moment, just happens to need an entire ox. What are the chances of that? Incredibly slim. Okay, let's say Anand gets super lucky and actually finds people who want his ox. Now he slams into flaw number 2. There's no common measure of value. So is his ox worth 5 pairs of shoes or 10? What about 100 sweaters? Every single trade turns into this long, complicated haggle with absolutely no guarantee that either person walks away feeling like it was a fair deal.
And now we get to a really practical, kind of gruesome problem, divisibility. Anand just needs 1 pair of shoes, but his ox is, well, it's a whole ox. He can't exactly offer the shoemaker a leg in return for the shoes, right? It's an all-or-nothing kind of deal, which makes getting small things almost impossible.
And finally, let's say Anand solves all of those problems. Maybe he trades his ox for something easier to divide, like 100 bags of grain. Now he runs into the last big flaw, durability. That grain is not going to last forever. It can rot, it can get moldy, or, as this picture shows you perfectly, it can get eaten by pests. Perishable goods are a terrible, terrible way to store your wealth. So with all of these huge, frustrating problems, it became crystal clear that for society to grow, for trade to happen over long distances, something had to change. The sheer inefficiency of barter created this massive need for brand new idea. And that idea, that better system, was money. It's an invention, a tool that acts as a go-between for every transaction. It was designed specifically to fix every single one of the problems we just saw Anand struggle with. You can think of money as having 4 superpowers. First, it's a medium of exchange. Anand can just sell his ox for money, then use that money to buy whatever he wants. No more searching for an ox-loving shoemaker. Second, it's a unit of account. Everything gets a price, so there's no more arguing over how many sweaters an ox is worth. Third, it's a store of value. Unlike grain, money doesn't rot or get eaten by rats. You can save it. And finally, it's a standard for deferred payment, which is just a fancy way of saying you can use it to handle things like loans and paying off debt. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Because the form that money takes has been changing constantly for thousands of years. So let's take a quick trip through time and see how money has changed its face. This timeline really gives you a fantastic snapshot, doesn't it? We start with direct barter, then we move to using things like pretty cowrie shells as a kind of early money. Then a huge leap forward, metal coins, which were king for centuries. They were followed by the convenience of paper money, and now we're in the age of invisible digital payments. I mean, early societies got so creative. They used salt, tea, and even these incredible red feather coils as money. But in the end, precious metals like gold and silver kind of won the contest. And why? Well, because they were just perfect for the job. They were durable, they were easy to carry, you could divide them up, and they were just rare enough to be valuable. Now, this is what I find so cool. You can literally draw a straight line from some of the earliest punch-marked coins in India, all the way back in 600 BCE, to the coins that are probably in your pocket or purse right now. The technology is obviously different, but the core idea, a small, durable piece of metal that represents value, that's been with us for over 2,500 years. But as trade networks grew and purchases got bigger, coins started to have their own problem. I mean, can you imagine trying to buy a house and having to haul thousands of heavy coins to make the payment? It was clumsy, it was unsafe, it was a huge pain. So once again, we needed a new invention. And that invention, of course, was the banknote. It showed up first in China, and then paper money made its way to India in the late 18th century. It completely solved the portability problem. Suddenly, making big transactions was so much simpler. A promise printed on a piece of paper became just as good as a bag of gold, and a whole lot easier to carry around. And that brings us right here, to today. In our lifetime, money has made its most radical change yet. It's becoming invisible. It's not really a physical thing anymore for most of us. It's just digital information, ones and zeros zipping around the world, moved instantly with a simple tap on our phones. The object is vanishing, but the idea, the trust, is still there. Okay, so after that whirlwind tour through thousands of years of financial history, let's slow down for a second and make sure we lock in the key ideas. So first, let's go back to our farmer, Anand. We saw how the barter system was just a nightmare for him. It was crippled by 4 major flaws, remember? The need for that double coincidence of wants, the fact there was no common measure of value, the problem of divisibility, and finally the problem of durability. We also followed the amazing transformation of money itself. That whole journey was really a quest to find a better, more efficient medium of exchange. It started with physical things like cattle, then moved to standardized items like shells, then to long-lasting metal coins, which gave way to super portable paper notes, and now it's just intangible digital data. Look, if you remember just 3 things from all this, make it these. Number 1, barter was a good first try, but it was just way too inefficient. Number 2, money was invented to solve barter's specific problems, using those 4 superpowers. And number 3, the physical form of money is never fixed. It is always evolving to meet the needs of the time. And that leads to a pretty profound final thought. Whether it's giant stones, a metal coin, or just a number on a screen, money has only ever worked because of one thing, our shared belief. It's a collective story that we all agree has value. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What do you think the next chapter in this incredible, ever-changing story is going to be?